Hi guys, today I'm going to be counting down all 14 currently operating GCI, that's Great Coasters International coasters that are currently operating in the United States. Going from my least favorite to my favorite that is currently operating in the United States. So again, there is 14 of those currently operating, and GCI is one of the top manufacturers out there, especially when it comes to wooden roller coasters. They're at the top of their game. They do Titan track on old coasters, a lot of retracking. They're known for some good airtime at their coasters. They seem to age overall pretty well for wooden coasters. Some of them, like Wildcat, before RMC came in and did their thing, was known to be rough, but for the most part, most of them aren't really rough or have a reputation for a lot of roughness. But with that being said, we're going to count down all 14 currently operating, and let's get started with number 14. Number 14, which is, in my opinion at least, the worst GCI in America. This is Roar over at Six Flags America. There also used to be another Roar that was at Discovery Kingdom, which has since been RMC, turned into the Joker. And this coaster honestly needs the RMC treatment as well. The layout's not awful, honestly. You could tell it should have some airtime, but it's rough. Like, it's just painful, honestly, at this point in time. This being an early GCI project just hasn't aged very well. There's so many other better GCIs out there. Their newer projects definitely better. The other wooden coaster in the park is vastly superior to Roar. It's just time for RMC to come in and do something with this coaster. Even a retracking, I just don't think the layout's that superior. So yeah, definitely this, mainly the roughness, is why this is at number 14. Number 13 is going to be Zambezi Zinger, which is the new for 2023 roller coaster at Worlds of Fun, the GCI, one of two at Worlds of Fun. The other one being Prowler, which will pop up later on this list. So this is a nod to the original Zambezi Zinger, which the gimmick here is the spiral lift hill, which is a first for GCI, for wooden coaster, just having the spiral lift hill. I think the spiral lift hill is pretty neat, to be completely honest, but it is just kind of a gimmick. The reason this coaster is placed at number 13 is because for a 2023 coaster, it's actually pretty shaky and kind of honestly rough in spots. And as I said, the main gimmick's the lift hill. The ride itself is lacking a lot of airtime, I think. The second half is definitely pretty fun, especially with the bank turns low to the ground in the second half. Like right here, this one's pretty good. But overall, like, it's just kind of falls flat, and it does feel like you are going faster than you are on this ride, but I think they put so much emphasis on the lift hill, and the rest of the ride just kind of fell flat. Number 12 is Invader, which is at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. So this is not a particularly bad coaster by any means. It's just meant to be more of a family GCI. It has some really great theming. I like the tunnel at the top and you go down the drop, but the drop itself is actually very not deep. It's pretty shallow. The airtime's kind of weak. To me, it doesn't feel like it goes super fast. I mean, it's really smooth though. And I mean, it's still a fun, enjoyable ride, but it's just not super thrilling. It's just honestly definitely more of what I would consider a family Woody. But the theming, they nailed it on the theming though. Number 11 and up coasters were all pretty hard for me to rank because I think they're all fantastic GCIs, but I had to put rank them somewhere. So number 11, I'm going to put Texas Stingray. I've only had one ride on this GCI, so I feel like I don't maybe have as good of opinion on this one as I do my higher up ones on this list. I think it's really, really smooth, but I feel like it just, maybe to me, it doesn't go as fast as some of the other GCIs. It does have some decent airtime, but I feel like it's maybe a little lacking in the airtime. It's got some good laterals on it, though, I would say. And it does good when it stays low to the ground. Just overall, I would have to put this at number 11. I still think it's a really phenomenal ride, and it's still a great rodent coaster, you know, though, overall. Number 10 is Apocalypse over at Six Flags Magic Mountain. So this GCI opened in 2009 and replaced Cyclone, which this is much better than Cyclone. So I have to put it higher than Texas Stingray because I feel like it definitely is a more aggressive of a ride, more intense to me. However, it's not ranked super high on this list because to me it has some rough spots. Particularly towards the middle / part of the second half of the coaster, and I think that could honestly be due partially to maintenance, I would like to say, because it tends to be one of those coasters that's down somewhat a lot, and it's unfortunate, but it has a really great layout, and I mean, I think it hauls through the layout, and I love the first drop especially. I think it's great, and you can just see it hauling through the layout, but because of, honestly, I want to say the maintenance and the bumpiness, I just can't put it any higher than number 10. American Thunder is at the number 9 spot at Six Flags St. Louis. This is also, in my opinion, the best coaster at Six Flags St. Louis. This is a great GCI. It is an underrated GCI. I think it gets overlooked a lot. So it's not the longest GCI, or maybe the one packed with the most airtime, but if you do ride in the back, there's some really good floater airtime. So it's not necessarily ejector, but it's pretty good floater. In the back, the front, just a good ride, good views, but the back is where this coaster shines for sure. And because of that, I'll put it at number 9. And I still don't think it's very rough, even though it's from 2008. It's just a good ride. Love the first drop. Love curved drops. And it's had a decent length to it. Just a very enjoyable GCI. Number 8 is definitely, in my opinion, the least talked about GCI. Very overlooked GCI, probably just because of where it's located. But it's Kentucky Rumbler at Beachman Park, Bowling Green, Kentucky. So it's you could combine this with a trip to Kentucky Kingdom in Louisville. But it's still not exceptionally close to Louisville, but within about a 2-hour drive. But I think it's just off of people's radars. This is got a lot of force to it, some good airtime. The only thing that would knock this to me is that it does have some roughness. That I know wooden coasters are supposed to be a bit rough. You know, that's part of the wooden coaster experience, which is fine. But then sometimes they're past the normal enjoyable roughness. But I do tend to overlook it just because this coaster has just such a good layout and it's just a blast to ride, Kentucky Rumbler. But that is definitely why it is at number 8 for me. Number 7 for me is White Lightning. Now we're getting down to the ones where it's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to choose with the rankings? Because they're all so good. This is another underrated GCI. It's smooth, has an absolutely wonderful layout. It's really full of airtime, but it's not super fast, but it feels like you're going faster than you actually are. The first drop, especially if you're in the back row, really whips you, and it's got some good laterals, good forces on it. White Lightning, just all around a good coaster, and it is my number 7 pick for best GCIs. Number 6 for me is Lightning Racer at Hershey Park. So the only racing GCI in America. Maybe the only one that I'm aware of, but I'd have to fact check that. It's an amazing ride. It's a lot of fun with the dual wing racing aspect, and it's super smooth. Even though it's not the newest GCI, I am just a huge fan of this ride. I don't really have a problem with it. I think it has a really good layout. I would say it's a lot more fun maybe than intense, but with that saying, there's nothing wrong with a fun ride. But it is just shy of my number 5 spot at number 6 here. Number 5 is Thunderhead at Dollywood. So each time I ride this one, I feel like I like it more and more. And I know they had a retrack, and I've heard it's absolutely like amazing now. But I honestly loved it before. It's a really strong wooden coaster, and I love it. Like, it's intense. If it's one of the strongest, most intense GCIs out there. I think people knocked it because it was kind of rough. Okay, like if you did ride in the back, I would borderline say it's kind of rough, honestly, yeah. But middle front was enjoyable to me, especially with the restraints and trains they have on this one. But I just think it's a fun, intense ride. Like the first drop, it just never lets up. It's relentless, and I have to put it at number 5. Just because it's just so good. My number 4 and onward picks, I can't really complain. I don't really have a complaint with any of them. I had trouble with my number 4 pick here, which is Renegade at Valley Fair, and number 3, just picking like which order to put them in, because I'm like, oh gosh, they're both great. What do I do? Like I knew kind of where they were. They're going to be 4 and 3, but which specific order? And this is where I ended it up at 4 being Renegade at Valley Fair. This is a tall GCI, and it is chock full of some good laterals, good air time, and it's just got a great twister out and back layout going on here. Oh, yes, as I said, I think it's an amazing coaster. I don't really have a complaint with it. I don't find it to be rough. I just think it's got a great layout, and Valley Fair has a really good world-class wooden GCI with Renegade. Number 3 is Prowler at Worlds of Fun. I ended up putting this one just ahead of Renegade just because of the setting and how it uses the terrain to its advantage. That's how it won out more over Renegade, but honestly, they're both great coasters. I mean, as I said, number 5 onwards, I think they're perfect. Number 4 onwards especially. This just has an amazing layout. It is fast, it's tall. I don't find it rough at all, even in the back, no matter what. This is definitely the superior GCI at Worlds of Fun. Zinger Zinger is just not it. This one is. And this one's older, and it's smoother, and it goes faster. So, not sure what's up with that. You would think newer, smoother, but that's definitely not the case here. But yes, number 3, Prowler. Number 2 is Gold Striker at California's Great America, which it doesn't make me sad that one day this park's going to close and that this coaster may not be anymore. But for now, let's enjoy it. So it's super tall, it's really fast, and it feels like it's hauling through its layout. Make it feel a little short, but it's really not that short. I like the tunnels, and I think the 80-degree bank turns are a wonderful addition. It has great airtime, some great forces, great positive G's going on here with this coaster. GCI just did an amazing job with this coaster. I don't think there's anything wrong with this coaster. It's got a great layout. It's fun, it's intense, it's smooth. It's everything and anything you'd want in a coaster. My My number one favorite GCI in North America is Mystic Timbers, and I'm sure several of you will probably agree with me on Mystic Timbers being the best in America. And if you don't, let me know, which one do you think is the best in America? Which one's your favorite? I think this coaster is just smooth. I love how it goes into the woods, has a fantastic layout, and this thing is like full of airtime. That's the big thing about Mystic Timbers. It's just so full of airtime. And if you love airtime, you'll love Mystic, and you love how smooth it is. The shed is kind of a gimmick, though, I will admit, but it adds a little bit to the theming, for sure. This is just a perfect all-around ride, perfect length, perfect everything, honestly, that a GCI or a wooden roller coaster or coaster in general should be. So again, I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you liked it, please give me a like. It'll help me with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe if you want to see more travel and roller coaster related content. Thank you so much.